Good evening, everybody. Could we come to order, please, and start with apologies for absence?
Chairman, all members of the Cabinet are present.
Thank you. Are there any declarations of interest in matters before us this evening? No? If not, can we approve the minutes of the last Cabinet meeting on pages 1 to 8 of the agenda? Are they approved? Yeah. Thank you. As usual, to confirm that items of business marked Part 1 will be considered in public, and items of business marked Part 2, those on the yellow papers, will be heard in private. The first report tonight, Cabinet Agenda Item 5, the monthly Council Budget Monitoring Report for month 9, page 9 of the agenda. Councillor Bianco.
Well, thank you, Leader. Obviously, this is normally the most exciting report on the agenda every Cabinet meeting, but tonight it has to take second place. However, it is nonetheless remains a good news story. This is the budget position as at December, month 9, as you said, and it shows an improvement again over the previous reported position at month 8. It shows a net underspend in year of 1.67 million, and it shows, and that is an improvement of 458,000 on the previous month. And better is that it projects the reserves at the end of the year now at 34 million plus. So it's a very good position to find ourselves in, and it is the envy of many councils up and down the land, I'm sure. What is also of import is the capital position, which again shows an underspend at month 9 of approximately 17.75 million, but most of that is, as usual, to do with rephasing of projects. And the outcome over the life of the programme, which runs until 23-24, is a very small underspend of 104,000. So a good position to find ourselves in, the 3/4 year mark, and something we can move forward to the end of the year feeling comfortable about. There are 3 recommendations at the bottom of page 9 and a 4th one at the top of page 10, and I move them on that basis.
Thank you, Councillor Bianco. As you said, 4 recommendations. The first, to note the budget position at December 19, month 9. That's outlined in Table 1, which is on page 12. And as you rightly indicated, if you look at that table, you will see that our projected balances for the year end at March 2020 were 32.5 million. We're now anticipating balances of 34.2 million. Which is an excellent performance. Recommendation 2, to note the Treasury Management Update at December 19. That's at Appendix E on pages 47 and 48 of the agenda. And as usual, the wording, there were no breaches of the prudential indicators or non-compliance with the Treasury Management Policy and Practices. It's included. Recommendation 3, to continue the delegated authority to myself and the Chief Executive relating to consultancy and agency appointments, which total over £50,000. The detail is shown on pages 49 to 51. And finally, recommendation 4, this is the planning performance agreements that we received. This is gift funding from developers, which, if accepted by the Council, will be utilised to fund dedicated staff to support the pre-application work for those particular planning applications. And the 6 that are offered: land at Ballsbridge Estate, 40k, land at Guru Nanak School, Springfield Road, Hayes, 32k, Marriott Hotel, Heathrow, 23k, land south of Ballinger Way and east of Bromead Road, Norfolk, 32k, 1 Vinyl Square, 15k, and 42 and 44 Marlin Avenue, 10k. They are the 4 recommendations. As Councillor Bianco mentioned, we are 1.671 thousand underspend at this time of the year, and that's what we're projected will be the position at the year end. We still have 150k in priority growth at this stage, plus 680k in Hillingdon improvement funding. Savings. Our savings target of 8,141,000, 7.4 million of that is already banked, and the rest is on course for delivery, and ultimately that will be delivered in full at the year end. The collection fund has a surplus of 459,000 on it. There's reference to the dedicated schools grants, which we will come across the schools budget later on the agenda, and this is happening across the country. As this is not under direct council control, deficits are building up on in dedicated schools grants, and this is something that which central government must address at some time in the future, and that's actually referred to in paragraph 131 of the budget report, which is also on this agenda. So all in all, a very strong position to go forward into the new financial year. Are the recommendations agreed?
Agreed.
Thank you. Can we now move on to agenda item 6, which is on the B document pack? And this is the Council's medium-term financial forecast 2020-21 to 2024-25, as well as setting the budget for next year. We predict as best we can the funding issues that we're going to have and how we're going to tackle them for the years up to 2024-25. Councillor Bianco.
Thank you, Leader. Well, as you said, this is the Council's budget, and it's the MTFF, the medium-term financial forecast, running through until 24-25. Some of you may be shocked to know that I'll be making a slightly longer speech next week on this subject, so I don't want to throw too many things in now, otherwise someone might accuse me of repetition. But the important factors to note are that whilst we are proposing an increase in the core council tax of 1.8% this year, we believe that sits at about 90% of the across London increase. So we are, as usual, below our peers, and we will also be collecting the 2% increase in relation to adult social care precept. Now, this will have, what I should say, of course, is that is for the under 65s. The over 65s will enjoy no council tax increase, although they will pay the social care precept when that comes through. And of course, we will all have to pay whatever Mayor Khan finally decides on when his budget is agreed. There are a lot of good things in this report. The recommendations 1 to 5 are shown, 1 to 6, I should say, are shown on page 2. Without wishing to go any further, this is a good budget that will continue to provide all the services we currently provide, and I think that's a very important point to make. There are many councils cutting everything left, right and centre. We are not cutting services. We are continuing to provide the services that all our residents want. And on that basis, I will move the recommendations and save anything further I have to say for next week. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bianco. As you rightly say, there'll be a lot more to say next week. But I think there are a few points worth making here. On page 14 of the report, some members of the public, our residents, indeed a lot of our residents, who are not understand the social care precept aspect. They get one tax bill, and also that includes, as you rightly say, Mayor Khan's precept as well. So we explain in paragraphs 33 and 34 what this means, but effectively, if you are over 65, you will see a rise this year at Band D of £22.80, 44 pence a week. And we will give some comparisons to how that fits with other local authorities next week. Under 65s, 83p a week. So not a huge rise by any means, but it is the first year, 4 years, that we have put the social care precept in, where others have been doing that almost as a given. On page 24, you will see some specific priority growth areas ranging from new officers for adult antisocial behaviour, the environment team, 50k to strengthen the council's domestic violence support, and other things there that we are doing around environmental issues and whatever. And on page 28, we're not only talking about council tax here, council services and facilities, but fees and charges will be part of our budget setting. And once again, fees and charges will be set at 90% of what our neighbouring authorities charge their residents, and parking for Hillingdon residents will be frozen for another year, parking charges. And finally, if you look at page 32, you will see the beginning of a list of capital expenditure which is included in this medium-term financial forecast, including the £5 million offer to the Mayor of London to purchase Uxbridge Police Station. We are the only party of the two in Hillingdon that actually see that as value. We will be pressing that again. Things like sports club refurbishment, Cranford Park, youth provision, environmental projects. There's a whole raft of things in here, the shopping parades initiative, highway structural works, a planned investment of £10 million next year in highways, CCTV programme extensions, the new leisure centre in West Drayton. This is a budget that many other local authorities are going to envy, but we will have unlimited time next week to give the detail. So, if there are no... Oh, Councillor Mills. Okay.
Thank you, Leader. Indeed, there will be more time next week to go through a lot of detail. However, the budget, of course, is a very big budget. And, we're talking about a total of £236 million worth of direct services that we're providing. There's reference to, on top of the council tax increase that we levy at a local layer, Mayor Khan's levy. Well, one of the things I think that Cabinet ought to be aware of is that regardless of what final number he comes up with, there are already changes afoot that have a detrimental impact on this borough. You will be aware that we had a very good relationship with the previous Mayor of London. Some of you may know him, Boris Johnson, and we entered into a partnership to set up police partnership teams in support of our common partnership objectives between the police and the local authority. It was flagged up 12 months ago by Mayor Khan that he would be making changes to those arrangements, which come into effect from this April. It would appear from the information that we're now getting that the headline changes mean in Hillingdon that Sadiq Khan is taking away the funding of 1 sergeant and 5 constables. So I think it needs to be made very clear that the Labour Party are not only opposed to the proposals about keeping Uxbridge open, we have an active Labour Party in London that is actually reducing the number of sergeants and police officers that will be available to the borough commander for Hillingdon.
Thank you. Are the recommendations agreed? Thank you. Return to the agenda A. The next report number 7, the school's budget for 2020-21, page 52. Councillor O'Brien.
Thank you, Leader. I'd like to move the Schools Council budget for 2020 and 2021. The Council has no other option at the moment but to accept the deficit school budget for 2020-2021. The Council made a disapplication request. It was considered and refused by the DfE, who advised that the Council cannot make any attempt to release funds, quite rightly so, I suppose, out of the general fund to ease the high needs block within the dedicated schools grant. The pressure on the dedicated schools grant budget is largely driven by the increasing spend within the high needs block. That is the main part of the DSG, which funds education for children with additional needs. Many other local authorities have used their DSG central reserves to fund this growing pressure. However, this is not sustainable, and Hillingdon has for many years now been a high delegator. Therefore, we retain very little of the designated grant centrally within the council, and nearly all of the funds go to the schools. And we have not been in a position to fund the pressures from the DSG reserves. And this is not just a pressure for Hillingdon. There are many local authorities at school forums who are in exactly the same or even more challenging revenue positions than we will find ourselves. And before long, the deficits, although they are already triggering DfE attention, I think more spotlight will be put onto that.
Thank you. I think whilst the issue does lie with the schools forums, you rightly say schools forums across the country can't balance their budgets. But then again, there's a few councils can't do that either. Are the recommendations agreed? Agreed. Thank you. We now move to part 2 of the agenda.